Who's your target audience? Should you go broad or should you narrow it in and be very niched? That is the question that I'm going to tackle in today's video. Hi, I'm Lauren Wellington, and I'm an entrepreneur that educates people to realize their business mojo. So you have a thing and you're selling that thing. Let's use this band. Who is going to use the band? Right? People who have hair, who want to pull it back. Okay, that tends to be women. Tends to be people active. You get where I'm going. You start taking the broad population and you keep pulling it down till you get to a pool of people that you can effectively outreach to. That's the whole point of a target audience and a niche, is I need to be able to communicate out to the world that I have this thing for sale. I have this mission that I want to achieve, right? If you're a nonprofit, but I need to communicate out, and I don't have unlimited funds or resources or an unlimited team or an unlimited anything to be able to communicate to everyone in the world. So nor is everyone in the world interested in this thing. So why don't I choose or be very selective on who I talk to about the thing that I'm trying to sell or the mission that I'm trying to put forward. So again, I'm selling this band. And then my price. So is my band cheap, like $1, or is it expensive, like $200, right? And those things will help kind of bring it in, narrow it in. So you want to do that because you don't have unlimited funds or resources to communicate out, regardless of how you're communicating. You could be printing flyers, you could be standing on the corner yelling, you could do social media, you could you could run ads, there's a lot of things that you could do, but all of those things have a dollar amount or a resource amount attached to them. And so the smaller you can make that pool of people to communicate to about this really great thing that you have to offer, the easier, or the more effective, not easier, the more effective it might be for you to sell it. So whole numbers, again, I like to make up just random numbers. There are 100 people in the world, and after you have narrowed it down, you realize that only 2 people are really that could be interested in your band. And so now I need to find out where those 2 people are based upon their behaviors, their interests, their likes, so I can tell them about my band. When I'm determining their interests, their likes, and their behaviors, I find out that those 2 people really like track and field events. And so it's best for me to go to places where there's track and field events to sell my band to those 2 people. It's a very simple example. Now you look at that in the bigger scope, right? So I'm trying to sell, again, this band, but I recognize that it's, people who are athletic, people who have long hair, don't want to pull it back, maybe people who are in work environments where their hair needs to be pulled back. So now you see that it went from different kinds of people. And so now this is where personas or your target market or your niche comes into play. These fancy words to be able to kind of segment or pull apart from the whole your potential customers. They're still potential customers. So the idea is to have a potential pool, right? A potential base that is big enough for you to keep tapping into. So if there's only, again, with the population of, let's raise the population to 1,000. If there's only 1,000 people in the world and it's only 2 people who could potentially be interested in your band, then you could go for it and you could make a profit, but you know that it's limited. But if you know that it's really 800 people who could be interested in your band out of 1,000, then now like, okay, I could keep going to that pool. I can keep going to that base of people and communicate to them, market to them, promote to them my product, so that way it can come back. And I can keep doing that over time because it's 800 of them versus just 2 of them. I hope you get that example, right? So you wanna go niched to be able to establish the first place that you first go to the pool to, right? The first place you kind of, cast your marketing and promotion materials out to. And you do that just because really the constraints of a budget of time or budget of money, but it's still the constraints of a budget. So you do that, and then you keep expanding, or maybe you create other niches or other target audiences or other personas within that same bigger population, 1,000 people, to be able to go to. So maybe my first niche is just women with long hair, and it's 800 of them out of 1,000 in the total population. But my second niche or target market would be people with medium to long hair, so that's no gender, that work in environments that they have to have their hair pulled back, like food and hospitals. So I found out that that's maybe like 500 people. So it's still the same population of 1,000 people, but now I can hit one group with a message: hey, pull your hair back in this snazzy way so you can be more effective on your job. And then I can hit the same population with a different message of long hair, use this thing, and then it'll pull it back nice and pretty, right? Because the 800 is the women and the other one is no gender. Please don't get caught up in the fact that those numbers don't make sense in the bigger scheme of things, but just get the point, right? So I'll give you that explanation so you understand really what is a niche, what is a target market, the persona, all of those things. So let me just quickly add color to those terms so you can understand the whole thing, and I'm gonna pull it together, I promise. So a niche is the group of people or the service or it's your specialty. The niche is your specialty, and it tends to be discussed in the context of your potential customers. So my niche is my niche is related to my niche, particularly my niche, are people who are thinking about starting a business, or people who have started a business and they've tried a lot of different things, but they're a little bit frustrated, truthfully, and they're wanting to get a certain amount of success, but their success is not common, or it's not, oh, I want to make $1 million and get a fancy car. Like, that's not what they're going for. It'd be nice if they had those things, but that's not their marker of success, indicator of success, right? My niche is, another part of my niche, it tends to be women, and my niche tends to be grown people, not, fresh out of college, but grown people. And so I call them seniors because they're older than me, so they're about 50 and older, but that tends to be kind of like my niche. Your target market is specifically behaviors, characteristics, and demographic details about your niche. So your target market could be, you could have two targeted audiences or two target markets within the bigger niche, right? So my bigger niche, as I described, is like women 50 plus that are interested in business or starting a business and kind of don't know where to start. But my target audience could be, one group could be all just some that are still working and then some that are not working. Or my target audience could be geographically based. It could be all West Coast versus East Coast, or all US versus Canada, something of that nature, okay? And then personas are this idea that I'm going to create my marketing materials and I'm going to discuss, communicate out, promote and market out from my brand. But I'm going to create like a fake person to be able to drive my marketing creation and my communication and everything that I do, to be able to drive it to like an ideal person. Because sometimes it's easier to create things or to write things or to craft or to generate things when you're thinking of a person in mind. Now, the question is, niche versus going very broad. And this fits into a bigger thing. So just roll with me on this. The product or service that you're selling, the business that you are in, has a certain cap on its mass appeal. Now, it could be very narrow, like again, or it could be very broad, like, you know, bread and milk. The product or service mass appeal is dependent upon the product or service. Now, you can figure out ways to broaden the mass appeal by thinking of other ways that this product or service can be used, or in other groups that it can be used. Example, again, go back to the beginning one. People with long hair, that's my initial mass appeal. There's a cap on how many people in the world have long hair. Now, I figured out another audience, which is people who need to have their hair pulled back to do their job. So now I have expanded the niche. I've broadened the scope for this product or service. Now I have two targeted audiences within the niche of hair accessories. I have two targeted audiences within that niche. And then the mom who has the long hair, the kid who's active in sports after school, and the person who works as a nurse somewhere, and the person who works in the food industry. Those are 4 personas within the two targeted audience within the bigger scope of the niche. I'm gonna say it again. The niche is hair accessories. The target audiences are people with really long hair and people whose hair needs to be pulled back to do their job. The personas, the people that I have created, my make-believe people that I've created to communicate to, that represents my targeted audiences and my niche, is the mother with the long hair, the kid who has long hair that's active in school and sports, the person who works in the food industry, and the person who works as a nurse. Got it. I hope that makes sense, and I hope it's really helpful. If you have questions, comments, definitely hit me up below and I will get back to you as soon as possible. If you find this information helpful, definitely share it with somebody else, and then subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. Okay, until next time. Bye.